this training, we will go from knowing nothing about Terraform to being able to use Terraform to deploy applications in the cloud. So on the first day of the training, we have our agenda. On the first day of the training, we are going to understand what an infrastructure as a code is. We are going to set up our environment. So today is majorly for setting up our environment, the lab, setting up the lab for the for the Terraform project. So we're going to download and install, set up AWS accounts. We're going to download and install Terraform. We're going to also download and install test editor that we're going to be using for the Terraform code. We are also going to install Terraform VS Code plugin. Okay, thank you. You can see my screen. So the email I used earlier was wrong. So I'm creating I'm changing email. So I'm going to put I want to use management for my AWS account. Then it's going to send me a confirmation number for me to confirm the email. So here is the confirmation number. So you just need to copy the confirmation number, then put the confirmation number here, verify it. Then you ask you to pick a password for your root user. So I'm just going to pick a password. Let me use a very secure password. I'm going to put my password in my notepad, then so that I make sure that I use a secure password. So first password, then I only need to confirm the password, then save it. So now a request for my information. So I just need to go off the screen to fill in this information. Then once I finish the information, I will come back to the screen. But here, before I go, you need to select personal if you are creating it for yourself. But if you are creating an account for your company, you select a business. So I'm creating an account for myself, so I'll go with personal. So I will be back. Now, after I fill in my address, it also has for the credit card. The next stage is to put in your credit card. If you don't want to use your credit card, you can buy some rechargeable cards from maybe Amazon or Walmart, rechargeable card from Walmart, which you just recharge some money there, like $20. Then after you don't use the account again, you can close it. Or if you use the account and you overspend or you spend a lot of money in the account, then they will not be able to charge you. Amazon will not be able to charge you more than the $20 that is in your card. So you don't want to use your personal card to create the account. You can just go and buy a virtual card or a temporary prepaid card. So I'm going to go off the screen again to quickly put in my card and come back. So after I put in my credit card and click on next, it also showed me to confirm my identity. So I just need to put my phone number there. Then it's going to send me a confirmation. Then after the confirmation, we are good to go. I'll be back. So it has sent the confirmation to my so it has sent the confirmation to my phone number. I just need to put in the confirmation number, then everything will be set. So for the support plan, I will select basic support plan, which is free. Then sign up. So now the account is set. So all I just need to do is to go to the console and we are good to go. So now it's signed me out. So I just need to sign in back using the information that I provided when I was using the email that I provided when I was creating the account, which is then it's going to ask for the password. So I need to provide the password that I used when I was creating the account. So now this is the account. Our account is ready. This is the account that we're going to be using for the training. For the period of the 10 days, we're going to be using this account. So the first thing that I need to do on this account is to create a user. Normally, when you create an account, you want to configure multi-factor authentication, but because of our time, I will not be doing that now. So I will just need to go and create a user, which we are going to be using to test all the configurations that we're going to be doing. So for me to create a user, I want to use the AWS identity to manage all my users. So like I believe like almost majority of you will likely know how to manage user using IAM, but I'm not using IAM here. I will be using AWS Identity Center, which is more easy and easy to scale. Should in case I want to use it to manage multiple accounts, AWS it's called IAM Identity Center. So I'm going to click on this. I'm just going to enable it. But before you can use Identity Center, you must have your account must be managed by AWS organization. So if you want your account to be managed by an organization, just click on Create an Organization. Then once that is created, then you can go back and enable IAM. So now, this is AWS Identity Center, which helps you to manage all your accounts. Should in case if you have multiple AWS accounts, you can use one single IAM Identity Center to manage accounts, to manage credentials, or to manage access for all the AWS accounts. So the first thing I want to do is to create a group which the user is going to belong. So the group I want to create, I'm going to call it applications. So any application that I have will be a members of this group. So that is the first thing. I create an application as a group. Then under that group, I want to have the user. So the next thing is for me to go and create a user. So I go to user. So I'm going to call this user Terraform, because Terraform is the application that we want to use for this user. So for the purpose of time, I'm not going to send an email to this user. I'm just going to click on create a one-time password and share it. So I'm going to use so that is the email that I'm using for the as the email for the user. So I'm just going to call it Terraform application, because it's an application that I want to use it for. I don't want to use it for a human being. So everything fine. I'm going to say next. So the user that I created, I want to add it to the group that I created initially. So click on add. That means we are adding the user to the group. So now I've created a user, and all I just need to do is create. So now this user, this is the URL that the user has to go. Even if you create an IAM for a user, not an application, you will still need to send them this information. So I've just copied all of this information, put them in my notepad so that I can be referring to them. So this is my username, and this is my password. I've just copied the password without opening it. So I'm closing this. So for me to log in as this user, all I just need to do is to go to the URL that was given to me, which I copied. So if I go to this URL, now it will ask me for the email. So I'm going to provide the email, which is cornelis@gmail.com. Then it's going to ask me for the password. Oh, sorry, the username is Terraform, not the Cornelis Inc. The username is Terraform. So now it's asking me to change the password because I used the initial password which was sent to the user. So now for me to change the password, I just need to pick a password for myself. So the password is not enough, so I'm going to change the password. Okay. So now the account has been created, so we are good to go. But currently, this user that I create is not managing any account. No account is assigned to it under Identity Center. So for you to assign an account to this user, you need to go under Accounts and assign an account to that user. So if your company has multiple accounts, they can assign as many accounts as they want to that particular user. So to assign accounts, because currently I only have one account, then I'm going to create manage accounts. So I'm assigning that account to that group so that that group can manage the accounts. So go on next. Currently, it doesn't have a permission set. That means the user or the group doesn't have a permission. So we need to create permissions for the user or for the group. It's always advisable to give a user a granular permission using a principle of least privilege. But for the purpose of this training, I will just give the Terraform, I will give it administrator access so that we won't be having any authentication issue. So now we have given the user the permission. So if I go back to the user and refresh, you can see now that the user will have an account that they manage. Okay, it says no account here. Let me see. Let's go back to the identity. Let's look at what is happening. Okay, we only create a permission set, so we need to go back to the account. It was not successfully the other time because we don't have permission set. Then it takes us out to go and create a permission set. So now we need to come back and apply the account to the user. So now this is the permission set that we created, and now we are assigning the permission set to the user, and we are assigning an account to that user as well. So now if you go back to the user should have an account and should also have permission. So you can now see that the user have an account that you manage. So if you want to get access key for this user, just click on the user, then click on permission. Click on the permission that is given to the user. So you can log in directly to the console, or you can generate an access key. So here we have an access key already. So this is the first configuration because we need this account so that we can be deploying our resources in the account. So the next configuration that we need to do, as I said earlier, that throughout today, we are going to be doing configuration. The next configuration that we're going to do is to download and install Terraform. So downloading and installing Terraform is an easy thing to do. Downloading and installing Terraform is an easy thing to do. Just open a browser and go to, I'm using Windows system, so I'm going to be downloading for Windows. If you are using any other operating system like macOS or like Linux operating system, you can check our website. You're going to see a step-by-step of downloading Terraform, downloading and configuring Terraform for Windows, for Linux and Mac OS. So I'm going to go to terraform.io or Terraform download. Just search for Terraform download. Then going to give you Terraform installation or install Terraform. When you click on the install Terraform, you need to it has different operating system. So just click the operating system that you are using among this operating system. I'm using Windows, so I'm going to be clicking Windows. So once you click Windows, you download the first one. So I'm going to download the first one. Once it's fully downloaded, go to where it is saved. So for me, it's going to be in my download folder. So it's going to be in my download folder as a zip file. So I'm going to unzip it. So now that I unzip it, if you open the zip folder, it has a package in it. If I go back to download, when you go to the download folder, this is on zip folder. When I click it, it has a binary file in it. You want to copy this binary file, you can copy or cut, whichever one you prefer. Then go to your Windows system. In your Windows system, locate users. locate users in your Windows system. Or if you don't want to put it inside the user in your Windows system, wherever you are, just create a folder and call the folder binary. Call the folder binary or whatever you want to call it, and then paste the extension, the binary file that you copied, paste it inside the new folder that you created. So when you double click this heading here, when you double click it, it's going to give you the path to that folder, which is called the C:/binary. You want to copy the whole of this binary. When you copy the whole of the binary, then search for search for environment variable on your search button. Environment variable. When you see the environment variable, open the environment variable. So under the environment variable, you want to go to system environment, then locate path on your system environment, this part here, double click on it to open it. Oh, sorry, I need to go back. I accidentally double click on it. I just want to open it. So go back to the path, click on the path, double click. Okay, these are full. Then you can also use the system variable if your path is not working. My own path is not working and possibly it has full. So you can also use the system or the user variable. The difference between the user variable and the system variable is just that when you use a system variable, any user that log into your system, maybe if you have multiple users on your system, they will be able to run Terraform. But if you use a user variable, it is only the current user that will be able to run the Terraform. So when I open the binary, so I already have a binary file here. I'm going to delete this one. Then I'm going to create a new file here. So I'm just going to paste the command that I copied. I'm just going to paste the command in the path folder, then do OK, and then OK again. So now we've downloaded Terraform, and that is everything you need to install your Terraform. So the next thing now, we are going to test the Terraform. So currently I have a VS Code, but if you don't have a VS Code, I'm going to show you how to download a VS Code. But because I already have a VS Code, so let's just take a minute to go and test the Terraform that we just download, whether it is working or not. So I'm just going to, if you have a VS Code, just open a new terminal on your VS Code. Open a terminal on your VS Code. Terminal, open a new one on your VS Code. Then press type Terraform-V. If you see any command, that means it's not working. So let me clear the screen. So I have to close this page because I already have it open before I downloaded my Terraform. So I'm going to open it again. Call code. So what I want to do now is to do Terraform-V. So now it's showing me the version of Terraform that I downloaded. So now it's showing that Terraform is running on our system. But if you don't have VS Code, all you just need to do is to go and download VS Code, and I'll quickly show you how to do that. And that will be our third download. So the next download is for you to download VS Code. So because I already have it, it's on my system, but I will still show you how to download it. So all you just need to do is to go to open a browser and go to VS Code download. Search for VS Code download. and you see this first one, click on it. So you can download for any operating system, for Windows, for Linux, and for Mac. I'm using Windows operating system, so I'm going to be downloading for Windows. So just click on it, and it's going to download in your default download directory or download folder. And once it's fully downloaded, you just need to go to the folder and open it and install. So it's showing that it's still downloading. So I will just wait for some seconds for it to finish downloading. Then we will go and do the installation. So now we have VS Code already downloaded. I just need to open it. I can open it from there, or I open it directly from the folder. So this is the VS Code. Just click on it, double click. So it's seeing the one that I currently have, and because of that, it doesn't want to open. So I will close this one so that then go back and double click on it so that it can open. So now this is what we're going to see if you have if you want to install VS Code after you downloaded it. So click on Accept, then click on Next. So if you want an icon on your system, then click on Create an icon, create a desktop icon. Then it's going to put a shortcut of the VS Code on your system. Then just leave the remaining part, leave it the configuration the way it is. Just go next, click then install. So if you already have one VS Code on your system before, it might detect the one that you have on your system. And because of that, it might want you to do a repair or replace. So you can as well do any one of the two. All right, we have a VS Code. So the reason why it doesn't dictate that I already have one on my system is because both the one I have on my system is an old version and this is a new version. So that's why it doesn't dictate it that I already have one. All right, the VS Code, I have VS Code now on my system. So what it's going to do now is it's automatically replace the one I have before. So this is the new VS Code that I have. So for you, you're going to be having a brand new VS Code. So all you need to go to your desktop or wherever you keep your file, say create a file for this training. So for me, I'm going to be creating a file called Terraform. I'll create it on my desktop. So once you have a file on your desktop called Terraform, just go back to your VS Code, then browse, go to File, open Folder, and open and browse where you save that file on your desktop. So may I have the file on my desktop as Terraform. So this is the file. I'm going to click on it, then click open. So it will automatically open that file on my system. So everything that I will be doing now, I will be doing it inside this Terraform file. I mean, Terraform folder. So it should give me a welcome, then I'll just close this welcome message. So the next thing that he wants to do, so let me bring back the other file that I was using. You can open two VS Code on your system. Maybe if you want to run two, you are running two different, you are working in two different directory, then you might want to have two VS Code open at the same time. It's possible. So just right click or click on the one that was there before, right click, then click open a new one. So now I have two VS Code. This is the one that I will be using to write the code, and this is one I have my command or my write-up in. And at time, I mean, after before class, I will move every command, I mean, my own personal write-up, I will move it inside this one that I will be using for the class. But for now, let me still stick to the one I'm using that I was using earlier. So I just need to open it again. So now we've installed, I mean, we've created our AWS accounts, we've installed, download and install Terraform, and we are also download and install the VS Code, which is an optional. So now the VS Code that you have, if you don't have any VS Code before and you just download this VS Code, it will be a brand new VS Code. So you will not be seeing a lot like mine is showing blue color like this. Yours might not be showing that. So the first thing you want to do, you want to configure this VS Code, and your own VS Code will be running in PowerShell. So if you don't want your VS Code to run in PowerShell and you want to be able to open terminal and see and be using bash, because this is a bash terminal. If you also want to use your VS Code in a bash terminal, then you might want to watch our last video, the Terraform, I mean the Python, the Linux video that we did, I think like 1 or 2 weeks ago. So there was one of the video that we explained how to create VS Code. So we put the link there and we put it somewhere in the video so that you can see it. So now we have the VS Code. The next thing you want to do, we want to download plugins for Terraform plugins on your VS Code. So to download Terraform plugins for your VS Code, all you just need to do is to go to the extension, Terraform extension rather. Go to extension, click on it, and search for Terraform. So when you search for Terraform, it's going to give, you can download this one that has almost 1 million download. Almost 1 million download. You can download that one. So I'm going to be going with that. Just click on it. Then it will install on your system. So this will help you to manage Terraform. There are some commands that immediately you are typing them, because you have this extension, it will auto complete them for you. But if you don't have this extension, then you have to be doing majority of the work manually. But with the help of this extension, then your tasks will be very, very easy. If you are typing any command that is Terraform command, it will give you some options. So you can just click and it will populate it on the screen. So that is how to download extension. And let me go back to the agenda for today. So we have everything that we need for the whole training in terms of download and setup. So we have all the setup that we need. We have our AWS accounts. We have installed and download and install Terraform. We have downloaded and installed the text editor, which is Visual Studio Code. We have also installed Terraform VS Code extension, or Terraform extension for VS Code. Terraform extension for VS Code. So the next thing we need to do now is let's get used to the documentation, Terraform documentation. Like I always tell all my students that whenever you are working with any tools, either you are a first timer working with that tools or you are an expert already working in it, the first thing you want to have is the documentation for that particular applications, because whoever developed the application, they write a documentation on how to use the application, and that is why you always want to get used to reading documentation. So the documentation for VS Code, you're going to find it, the documentation for Terraform, you are going to find it in Terraform. You are going to find the documentation for Terraform just type terraform.io. So when you type terraform.io, it's going to show you the Terraform page. So to get to the documentation, this is not the documentation that we are looking for, but the documentation that we are looking for is precisely the provider's documentation. So to get there, click on registry. Then when you click on registry, we are looking for providers documentation. So go to browse providers. When you browse providers, because Terraform can be used for different kind of providers. You can use it for AWS, you can use it for Azure, you can use it for GCP, and a lot of them, like 100 of them. You see, these are a lot of providers, and this is just the first page, and these are 3,000 plus. So how can you use Terraform for each one of these? It is what you need to do is to go and get the provider's plugin for that provider. So for AWS now, if you want to get the plugin for AWS, just click on AWS, and it's going to show you the documentation. How can you use Terraform for AWS? And we are going to be working with this documentation. I will show you how you can solve any problem that you have with the help of documentation, with Terraform documentation and some troubleshooting techniques. So here, what you want to do here is you want to go to documentation. When you click on the documentation, so these are all the AWS services, and we're going to be looking at some of these services, and this is the AWS providers. So tomorrow class, we will now start using this documentation to write our Terraform. But before we go today, I want us to quickly do just one single deployment and show you how it is easy to deploy something directly on AWS using Terraform. So I'm just going to go back to see under my day one. I want to see inside the day one so that I can create a file in the day one folder. So I'm going to cd to day one. So I'm inside the day one folder now. If you want to create a folder, if you want to create a file in Terraform, in Linux or anywhere, create a file in Linux or using a terminal or command line, you can just do touch. You can just do touch the name of the folder. So I'm going to call the name of this folder main.tf. If Terraform folder ends with .tf, and we're going to discuss this tomorrow under Terraform files and folder. So, but don't bother about this extension. We're going to discuss it tomorrow. But just create a folder called main.tf. So the folder is created here. All I just want to do now is to go back to my documentation, and you see this use provider. click on it and copy everything under the use provider. Then paste it here. So this is me saying to Terraform, like, I mean, this documentation, I mean, this file that, hey, I want to run Terraform file because it's .tf, and the provider that I want to use is AWS. And also under the configuration options, I have to provide which region of AWS do I want to use. And you can see now that it's giving me some options. The reason why it's giving me all of these options is because of the extension that we installed. So I've just tell him that I want to use US East 1. We're going to discuss all of this tomorrow, so you don't need to bother about this. I just want us to see how easy it is to deploy resources in the cloud with the help of Terraform. So this is the configuration that I just made. Then the next thing for me to do is to specify the resources that I want to deploy in the cloud. And the resources that I want to deploy in the cloud, let's just create VPC, which is one of the easiest resources to deploy. So I've just copied this VPC. You don't need to bother about it. I'm going to be explaining all of this in detail starting from tomorrow. So this is how it is easy for me to create a VPC. I'll just specify the resources. I'll just say main VPC. So you can see I just need to pull the CIDR block and pull the call the CIDR block and put the CIDR, I mean call the VPC block. This is a VPC block. Then just specify the CIDR block that I want to use. Then after that, that is everything I need to do. Though I have to make sure that this Terraform can communicate to AWS account. So how can an application how can this Terraform, I mean this VS Code, be able to communicate to AWS accounts? Is by me giving this VS Code credentials to talk to AWS account. So with this, I'll have to go to my AWS account and copy the whole of this. I'll just, because this is the reason why I want us to use this identity center for the configuration, so that we can easily deploy resources. So here, I'm not using Mac, I'm using Windows. So I'll click on Windows so that I can generate, you can give me the code to set my environment variable for window. So I just need to copy all of this, then go to my VS Code, open the terminal, and just paste the whole code there and press enter. Or say it's not set. Let me clear this. Let's do the second. I might have to do it one by one. Click. Click on set. It's still not set it again. Okay, we'll troubleshoot this tomorrow. This is, but for now we can do AWS. Let's open VI credentials. So here I just need to replace. I just need to go back to my credentials, copy this, and I copy it, then go back to the AWS. I'm going to explain all of this tomorrow, so don't bother about this. I just want to show us that. So this is me setting up my environment. I'm providing access key to the VS Code, so that by the time Terraform go to AWS will allow it to perform whatever we ask it to perform, just like you are authenticating yourself, and will authentication and authorization at the same time. So I'm going to clear this and just run Terraform init. So Terraform is going to download some plugins on my system, and after I finish downloading the plugin, it's going to deploy. We are going to tell it to deploy the resources. So tomorrow I'm going to be explaining to you this today. Just see today as just configuration of the lab or of the environment. So from tomorrow we start picking Terraform bit by bit and explaining it. Don't bother you. From tomorrow you're going to be understanding everything that is going on behind the scene with Terraform. But today is just for configuration and just to test our environment whether it is working or not. Now that I've downloaded Terraform and I've already configured it, and I've run Terraform in it, which it has downloaded some folders and files on my system. Tomorrow I'm going to be explaining this file and folder to you. Don't bother about it. So all I just need to do is Terraform plan to see what Terraform is going to do on our account if we allow it to deploy resources there. So Terraform plan will show you like, hey, see, if you use Terraform to deploy resources to your AWS accounts or whatever provider you are using, these are what Terraform is going to do. And so now, if you are satisfied with whatever it says Terraform is going to do, then we can go ahead and do it. Don't bother about what happened. I understand. I'm just going to put, it's part of the configuration that we're going to be doing tomorrow. Here, I just need to do provider is equal to, then I need to provide the provider that I use here, the name of the provider. I'll just go to the next one and get the name of the provider from there. So this is the provider that I want to copy. It's not allowing me to copy it, but if you look at this 8587, that is the provider that I want to copy. So I'll just look at where I can copy it from, or I might copy the whole thing, then put it in a notepad so that I can get that provider specifically. So I can go back to my VS Code now and put the provider here. So that is what is just need, and I will explain to you tomorrow why it's asking for that provider. If you have already run Terraform and it doesn't require that, so I just need to go back and do Terraform plan, and everything will be fine now. All right, you can see now it's not giving us any error again. And what is showing us on the screen is that, hey, see, if I go ahead and deploy this thing to the cloud, these are what the configurations is going to look like. And if you are okay with that, you can say, okay, don't worry, Terraform, go ahead and deploy it. And how do you tell Terraform to go ahead and deploy it? Is by running Terraform apply. When you say Terraform apply, Terraform is going to deploy that resources to your cloud. But if make sure that you run plan before you apply, because if you run apply, that means it's going to do it, and you don't want to do something that is wrong by not checking. So Terraform still come back and to confirm that, hey, see, are you sure you want to do this? I'll say, okay, yes, go ahead, by giving it by passing yes. And when I pass yes there, it's going to go ahead and deploy the resources in the cloud. Don't bother about the error that we are getting. Is a command error. So, but we are going to continue from here tomorrow. Okay, we are going to continue from here. I understand what is going to what is happening is authentication error. But now we are seeing now that Terraform is actually communicating to our environment, and we will pick it up from here tomorrow by starting with Terraform. So today is mainly just for configuration, configuring our system and see that it's actually talking to AWS accounts. And from tomorrow, we will start dealing with Terraform one by one. Do you guys have a question for me or any question? Let me know if you have question in the comments in the comment box. Put your question in the comment section. Any question? All right. If there is no question, I want to say thank you guys for coming. The class continues tomorrow, same time, 5 p.m. Central to 6 p.m. Bye, guys.